Oh, yeah. Yeah, now we're talking. Now I got the big guy here from Washington, D.C. Every time I think of you, I think of, Mr. Smith goes to Washington, because you were our governor for many years. I mean, you did an outstanding job. I guess you pulled 2 terms there?
2 terms.
Yeah, and that's when I first met you. I came in around '89 in the radio and met you there. And you've been doing an outstanding job, did a great job as governor. And then now with Congress, I'm still trying to figure out exactly what can Congress do. Where are we at? What is Congress?
Well, first of all, a governor is somebody in any state, particularly in a small state like Delaware, where you can really drive the agenda. You can really work with kids and education or whatever, balance your budget, et cetera. You get to Washington, D.C. as a House member, which I am now, or as a senator, which I'm trying to become. And it's a lot more difficult because you are dealing with a president who's really got the bully pulpit. You're dealing with leadership in your own party as well as leadership in the other party. You're dealing with 435 people in the House, 100 in the Senate. So it's nice that we all get up and say, gee, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But it's a lot tougher to do it in Washington, D.C. We're limited to voting on what's presented to us.
Because I was going to say here locally, I don't want to refer to it as a good old boy network, but it pretty much has been for many years. I mean, you were able to sit down with Mr. Biden, you could sit down with Mr. Carper, and on a local level, you kind of can work together. But on that national level, you've got, you're battling everybody else, the little rinky-dinky Delaware here, and that's got to be a challenge. But you've accomplished things made us a lot of money, I might add. You paid your salary for a few years with what you did with the quarter.
Yeah, the quarters have produced several $1 billion of profits, which is, as far as I know, the only federal program created in the last 50 years that's actually made money.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So you definitely did. But that wasn't easy. I mean, you had to get that through.
No, we had to work hard to get people to accept that idea. And once they did, it flowed, and everybody now thinks it was a great idea.
Yeah, my wife's got one from each mint and everything else. So we were
there's another collection going on right now, or another set of quarters, and that is the national park quarters that started out.
Yeah,
I just saw that.
And the problem with that is that Delaware doesn't have a national park.
I
so
heard
we're going to
that,
have a wildlife refuge, Bombay Hook, right now.
Yeah, but
unless we get a national park in the next few years.
And that has to be appointed, I guess, by the president and Congress, Senate, national park.
National park, it goes through Congress, then it's approved by the president. And Tom Carper and I have been working on that for some time.
I was going to say, they got your vote if it gets up there. I know
that. Got that right, for sure.
That'd be great. But now this is a whole, because Congress does one thing in the House, I mean, it all kind of goes together when it comes. But what can you do more or help better is going into Senate. When you talk about things.
Yeah, the Senate is a little bit of a different beast than the House. The 100 members versus 435 is a big difference. You don't have the same rules. In the House, you have a rules committee. It's dominated by the majority party and by the leadership of the majority party. They say what legislation will be considered. They say what amendments will be considered. You go over to the Senate, you're dealing with 100 members. Basically, the rules are such that virtually anybody can stop something or bring an amendment up, and they have to negotiate out what they're going to do or not do. So I think the power to be able to move an agenda forward or try to block an agenda when you don't agree with something is much greater in the Senate than it is in the House. And some people say, well, why give up your seniority in the House? Well, let me tell you, seniority in the House doesn't mean that much. The only thing that means something in the House is if you are the Speaker of the House or the Majority Leader and perhaps the whip. Beyond that, everybody's pretty much at the same level. But in the Senate, even those of us who will be freshmen will have a greater say than we ever could have in the House, unless we're in that very top rung of leadership. So I view the Senate as an opportunity to advance the various causes I believe in terms of spending less and
because I was going to
helping
say,
with our economy.
In relation to the economy, I mean, education, we still got to be concerned with that. Small businesses like myself, I mean, Congressman, I deal with businesses every day, and you hear, this is happening, it's getting better, but I deal with businesses, especially small businesses. That's what we've been about since we've been established for 22 years now, and I hear from the same one of them, it ain't changing. I mean, we're, just about, I can't find any of them really that I've bumped into say, hey, life is really good. So, what can we do there?
Well, first of all, Tim, one of my goals is to make you CBS or NBC with a lot of employees in Delaware. But secondly, I have introduced small business legislation. Others have as well. I believe that we need to pay more attention to some of the tax tables, the depreciation tables, the various things that can help with respect to small businesses. We need to make sure that they're not being overtaxed. We need to make sure that there's lending available. And the Small Business Administration works on that. I have met with our bankers in Delaware. They complain about the regulators. So we have now met with the regulators, and hopefully we're going to have a meeting between the regulators and the banks as well.
So it's politicking with all the sectors, trying to get everybody on the same page.
Exactly.
Then.
It's small internal things like that that can make a difference as far as an economy is concerned. We think about the bigger picture. You think about the Federal Reserve, et cetera, and all those things are important, but it's also the small pushing and shoving, which we need to do, and we need to push hard in Delaware. We've done well with some of the recruiting that's gone on. Obviously, you know, the Fisker automobile line taking up the General Motors plant is a real coup for Delaware. The fact that Sallie Mae is moving its lending operations from Virginia to Delaware is a real coup.
And that's what we need. That's going to be jobs, and that's what we're missing.
The other thing we need is the real estate market to return, and it's primed to return. I will tell you, there are a lot of people who would love to move to Sussex County, Delaware, from out of state. They love the beach area, relatively low property taxes, relatively low other taxes. They'd love to do that, and I think once the economy turns around,
I don't want to interrupt you because Bragg was taking place, and over in Maryland, where and that's going to be the Silicon Valley for bio research or whatever you want to say, and that's a great opportunity because we're not that far. When you look at that, for people to want to live on the beaches and stuff. I mean, are we getting some flow from that now?
Yeah, we are, and I went down there immediately upon that decision being made to bring in the Army situation in Aberdeen, and we talked to those folks, and it was very interesting because a lot of what they're doing is private sector. It's not just military, but the military is high level as well. The University of Delaware has entered into a very good program with the military in terms of training some of their people. The building's already up now. I mean, they physically exist, and people can start moving in. People from Kent County and from Newcastle County, Delaware, can commute easily to those locations, and these are high-level jobs. They take education for the most part. They're looking for engineers, scientists, and that kind of thing. But the bottom line is, economically, it could be very helpful to our area.
Because they've got to have support companies. I see support companies. I did my training at Aberdeen Proving Grounds myself when I was in the military, and I know that what a facility they have, and they're expanding on that. And I think we're going to get a lot of flow from that. Election coming up. I mean, you've got the primaries, and then I'm not too concerned for. I know that you are as a politician. You're always concerned.
I'm always very concerned.
I always think back to my good friend Dan. Harley when he thought. No big deal, But big race coming up beyond the primaries with Mr. Chris Coons. Both of you, I recognize is doing pretty good jobs and stuff. And you see a lot of fun with that, or
Well, I don't know if any of this is fun. I wouldn't go that far.
You got to have fun with it, Mike.
But I respect Chris, and I expect it to be a good race. I feel he'll have a much more democratic, liberal view than I will on some things. But I think we'll have a good, challenging race. We'll
God bless you. As a Republican, you've held on. I vote for you because I got that Republican card in there. But this has been a Democratic state for a long time, And,
that's true.
And it's going to be quite.
But people in Delaware, don't really separate by Republicans and Democrats. They separate by what they think you can do to help the state. Pete DuPont had a good record as a Republican. Obviously, Tom Carper and Joe Biden have been around for a long time. So that vote breaks down differently often than just the party registration.
Right, and I think
which is good. Everybody should do that.
Well, I
I'm
think
very
so.
dependent upon it, or I'd be in some real trouble.
No matter what you are, Republican or Democrat, you should
vote
look
for
at
what's
that
good for you.
individual. And,
I agree completely.
Mike, there again, I think you've done a great job as governor, congressman. Lots of luck on the race on the Senate, and hopefully, I can't say I hope because then Chris is going to come on and say, well, but I will vote. I will vote for one of you. I know that. So
if you're voting for me, vote early in Alton.
There you go. Well, it's always a pleasure.
Thanks,
I thank you so much. And we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Remember, vote Tuesday no matter what. You want to get out there and vote. If it's whoever, just vote.
Not whoever.